Hello doctor, my name is Adeline Hiana Paun with matric number 97927. So today I will briefly introduce the United States and its industrial relation environment. The United States is a country with 50 states and is currently the world's largest economy. So it plays an important role in global business, trade and also employment practice. The US has a population about 335 million people. It's also a very diverse country with people from different ethnic and also cultural background. So in fact, around 46 million people living in the United States were born in other countries. So this shows how important immigration is to the US workforce. So most of the Americans live in cities. For example, cities like New York, Los Angeles and also Chicago that attract millions of workers and also businesses. Compared with Malaysia, the US population is much larger and also older. Malaysia has a younger workforce while the US state is facing an aging population. So as more older workers retire, the country increasing depends on immigration to fill the job vacancies. Okay, next let's look at the US economy. The United States has a GDP of more than 27 trillion US dollar, making it the largest economy in the world. In 2023, the economy grew by 2.5%, while the unemployment remained low at around 3.8%. Several factors will help to drive the economic growth in the United States. First one is about the consumer spending. Americans spend a lot of goods and also services which can help the businesses grow. For example, people regularly shop through companies like Amazon or Walmart. Then the second growth driver is technology and also innovation. Many famous technology companies such as Apple, Microsoft and also Google are based in the United States and contribute greatly to the economy. Another important sector is energy. The US is one of the world's largest producer of oil and natural gas, creating jobs and also supporting export. Compared with Malaysia, the US is more mature economy while Malaysia is still growing at a fast rate as a developing country. Okay, finally, let's look at the major industry in the United States. The US economy is mainly service-based, with service contributing about 80% of GDP. So one of the most industry is technology. Companies such as Apple, Microsoft and also Google are global leader in innovation and also digital service. Healthcare is another major industry. Hospitals, pharmaceutical companies and also medical research center employ millions of workers across the country. The US also has strong manufacturing industry, especially in aerospace, automotive production and also defense equipment. And then other important sectors include financial, energy and also agriculture. So in conclusion, the US has a large and also diverse population, a strong economy and also a wide range of industry. Consumer spending, technology and also energy continue to support economic growth. So this economy and also demographic factor also influence how the country industrial relation system operate. So that's all from my part, then I will pass it to the next presenter. Thank you.
So now I will be presenting about the industrial relations system in the United States, covering its overview, employment statistics, labor laws and wage policies. So firstly, the United States has decentralized and market-driven industrial relations system. Employment matters are regulated by both federal and state governments, giving employers and employees greater flexibility in determining employment terms and working conditions. Key agencies involved include the U.S. Department of Labor (DOL), the National Labor Relations Board (NLRB), and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or known as EEOC. So next, looking at the employment statistic, the United States has one of the largest labor market in the world with more than 160 million workers. The labor force participation rate is approximately 62%, while the unemployment rate is around 4%. Major employment sectors include healthcare, technology, professional service, retail trade, and manufacturing, with the service sector contributing the largest share of employment. So, moving to labor law, several important laws protect workers' rights. The National Labor Relations Act protects employees' right to join trade unions and participate in collective bargaining. The Fair Labor Standards Act regulates minimum wage, overtime pay, and child labor. In addition, the Occupational Safety and Health Act ensures workplace safety, while the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination in employment. So next slide. Lastly, regarding wage policies, the federal minimum wage in the United States is 7.25 USD per hour. However, many states implement higher minimum wage rates based on the local economic conditions. Besides wage, employees may also receive benefits such as insurance, retirement plans, and also paid leave. So now I will pass to the next presenter.
Okay, so for the working hours and leave, the standard American work week is ensured at 40 hours by the Fair Labor Standards Act. So interestingly, the federal law sets no maximum legal limit on work hours. Instead, it uses a financial penalty to regulate excessive workloads. So any time work beyond 40 hours must be paid at the rate of 1.5 times the regular wage. So a unique feature of the US system is striking absence of statutory paid leave. There are 0 federal mandates for paid annual leave, sick days or holidays. These are strictly private benefits. So for major life events, the Family and Medical Leave Act provides 12 weeks of job protection, but crucially this leave is completely unpaid, so offering 0 job security and 0 job income security. Okay, so next we have the termination policy. In the 49 states of US, employment is governed at the will of doctrine. So this legal principle allows an employer to terminate someone at any time, for any reason or no reason at all, without prior notice. So this flexibility is reciprocal, as employees can also quit instantly without legal penalty. Regarding financial exit, the US has severance vacuum. Federal law does not require any statutory severance. Such payouts are purely voluntary or negotiated privately. The only major safeguard is the WARN Act, which requires companies with over 100 workers to provide a 60-day advance written notice for mass layoffs. So this law mandates time for workers to pivot to new jobs rather than providing actual cash payouts. On to foreign workers. So the US manages foreign labor through rigid statutory caps. For highly skilled professionals, there is a global limit of only 85,000 H-1B visas per year, distributed via a randomized lottery system because demand always exceeds supply. For seasonal work like hospitality, the H-2B visa is used, though it also faces competitive caps. Before hiring a foreigner, employers must clear perm labor certification hurdles legally to proving that the Department of Labor that no qualified US citizens are available for the role. So finally, this visa involves a strict employer binding because a worker's legal status is tied entirely to their specific sponsor. Leaving the job means that losing their legal right to remain in the country instantly. And then we have the Social Security and welfare. So the US retirement and healthcare are funded through FICA payroll taxes. Both employers and employees contribute 6.2% for Social Security and 1.45% for Medicare. Rather than personal savings account, FICA is a collective pay-as-you-go fund where current taxes directly support current retirees. Other welfare protection are more fragmented. So unemployment protection is a federal-state hybrid, meaning that benefits amount and durations vary drastically depending on which state you live in. Similarly, the US lacks a national agency for workplace injuries. So workers' compensation is regulated entirely at the state level, mandating that businesses buy private insurance to cover medical costs and partial wages for injured staff, creating a highly commercialized and uneven system.
Moving on, I will be discussing a trade union and collective bargaining in the United States. Trade union represent workers collectively and help protect employee rights, improve wage, benefit, and working conditions. Although union membership has declined over time, there were still about 14.3 million union members in 2034. To achieve improvement for workers, union and employers use collective bargaining, which is a negotiation process to reach agreement on employment condition. A good example is the UAW strike in 2023, where workers successfully negotiated better wage and stronger job security. This shows that collective bargaining remains an important tool to protect worker interests. Next, I will discuss women employment in the United States. Women play a major role in the United States economy and accounted for 46.8% of the total labor force in 2024. The labor force participation rate was 57.1%, showing the significant contribution to the workforce. However, gender inequality still exists. Women earn about 18.9 cents for every dollar earned by men, resulting in a gender pay gap of 19.1%. To protect women in the workplace, the United States has introduced laws such as the Equality Pay Act and the Pregnancy Discrimination Act. Moving on to the Youth Employment and Child Labor Law. Youth employment is encouraged in the United States because it helps young people gain experience, develop skill, and prepare for future career. In 2024, around 17.4 million youth aged 16 to 24 participate in the labor force. At the same time, the government protects young workers through a Fair Labor Standards Act or FLSA. For example, children under 14 are generally not allowed to work, while those aged 14 to 17 can work under certain restrictions. Despite this protection, challenges such as child labor violation and hazardous working conditions still exist. Finally, I will discuss a retirement policy in the United States. The United States retirement system is based on the three pillars: Social Security, employees' pension retirement plan, and personal saving. Together, these three pillars help provide financial security during retirement. In 2024, there were approximately 56.9 million people aged 65 and above in the United States. However, the retirement system faces challenges such as an aging population, social security sustainability, and insufficient retirement saving. With that, I would like to pass the presentation back to Liana for the next section. Thank you.
So next is the summary. So to conclude, both of United States and Malaysia have labor law, trade unions, minimum wage policies, and workplace safety regulations to protect workers' rights and welfare. However, the two countries differ in their approach. The United States adopts a more flexible and market-driven system, while Malaysia places greater emphasis on government regulation and employee protection. The US system supports business competitiveness and innovation, whereas Malaysia focuses on job security and industrial stability. Overall, both systems have their own strengths and challenges. Therefore, an effective industrial relations system should strike a balance between economic growth, business flexibility, and employee welfare. So that's all from us. Thank you.